Good afternoon all and welcome to the 12th Open Classroom Civil Designer Software webinar. I trust everyone is safe and well and that you all had a great long weekend. As per the surveys we ran over the last 2 weeks, which many of you kindly answered, we will this week be switching to a new format where we cover one of either the sewer, storm or water modules on Thursdays and then dedicate Fridays solely to the Design Center module. Once again, thank you everyone for your positive input and feedback. Now getting back to today, which will remain a survey and terrain day. We welcome back Andrew Cole as your civil designer software facilitator with part 2 of his pond design. As always, please feel free to use the text chat service on your GoToWebinar floating dialogue to ask us any questions you may have during Andrew's presentation. So without further delay, please take it away, Andrew.
Good day and welcome to today's Survey and Terrain webinar. Today I'm going to be showing you more of the terrain modeling functions that can be used to edit your DTM surfaces. To start with, I'm going to look at the dam volumes function to create a polyline, and from this polyline I'm going to use the strings function to create a surface. So it's terrain dam volume that I'm going to be using. The dam volumes generally used to calculate how much water a dam can hold. You would specify a water level for your dam, select your surface that you want to work with, and then you can set your depth increments. You can output this information to a CAD layer, so just the water surface, it'll create a polyline, or you could output polylines for each depth increment. Then you can label your lowest point in the pond or dam, and then you can output a reservoir file to be used in the stormwater retention pond analysis. Okay, so I'm running the dam volumes on the pond surface. The prompt would be to just click inside the dam, so generally in front of your dam wall, or just behind the dam wall. In this case, inside our pond wall. And you can see those depth increments being generated, and then you'll get your volume output in cubic meters. You've got per depth band, and then your cumulative volumes on the right hand side. So total volume of water to that water level that you specified in cubic meters. So the main reason I've used the dam volumes in this case was to generate this CAD output, the water level CAD polyline, which you can see there generated at 1343. It's been put onto a separate CAD layer. And I'm going to be using that CAD line, the polyline, to create a terrain string and then to convert that into a DTM surface. So using string creation, string from polyline again, and selecting that polyline. I'm going to call this terrain string water surface. You have to use underscore in this case, and I'm hiding it from the CAD entity. And I don't think I want to delete it, so I can keep that polyline for now. Okay, and then I want to show you this relatively new selection cycling that you can use to select when multiple entities are below each other. So you just keep your control key in when you left click to select, as I'm doing in this case, and then it lists all the entities. So in this case we had the polyline and the terrain string and an image below it, all in the same position. So I'm selecting the specific entity that I'd like to select in this case, which is the terrain string. And we can just verify in the properties that it was created at the right level and it's got the right name. So I actually want to use that newly created terrain string and convert it to a DTM surface. So it's that string editing, and you can translate your string, terrain string, to a DTM surface. So I've named a surface already, the water surface. In this case, it's just the one string, so just to make it feature lines that are joining those points together. Okay, Maybe just have a look in display settings to verify that we have got those points on surface 26, our water surface. So next up, I'd like to triangulate that new surface. Remember, we only have the perimeter, so I'm going to take those points we created for the pond, and I'm going to use this model polygon copy and move. And I'm going to copy all those inside points with the triangulation lines that link them from surface 25, the pond surface, and copy it onto our new water surface. So you can copy and move points. So cut and paste or just copy and paste. In this case, I'm copying and pasting the points and the break lines from surface 25 to surface 26. So you get an inside and outside option. In this case, I'm doing everything on the inside of my polygon. And you can see those new cyan lines that have been added, the break lines and the points onto surface 26. We can just switch off surface 25 over here in the control center. And then you're seeing the lines that are switched on for surface 26. Okay, to do the triangulation for this surface, the rest of the triangulation, I'm going to use IntelliLines, and I'm going to utilize that fence functionality just to confine the triangulation inside the water perimeter or that water level line. So using that selection cycling, I'm going to select the light polyline, that KB water level polyline, and I'm using model fence, defining a new fence from polyline. Okay, just selecting that polyline that I've just found, and I'm going to call that the water surface. Okay, and then you'll see the new fence defined, and we can see in the output window the area and circumference of our new fence, the water level fence. So you can use these fences for various functions, and if you need to manage the fences, it's under model fence. You can delete or remove existing fences, and then you can display all the fences. It does show the water surface, and we've still got the pond fence. You can see if I zoom in here, you'll see the two different shades for the pond and the water surface fences. I can just escape out of there. And then I'm going to move on to the triangulation. So I'm going to use that model IntelliLines function. Okay, so we want to create new feature lines. We want to keep existing, and we want to contain the triangulation inside our new water surface fence. Okay. And then there you can see the triangulation neatly done within the perimeter of our new fence. So you don't get any lines jumping across the corners. Okay, and then maybe just to validate that new triangulation, so model validate model and surface 26. And that's always a nice message to get. Line model scanned successfully. So next up, we're going to have a look at the Terrace Merge function, where you can merge two terrain surfaces into a new surface. So we're going to be working with the pond. So I want to get the pond wall merged into the natural ground. So it's going to be intermediate, which is our natural ground, and then the pond surface that we're merging. So it's terrain terrace merge, the function we're using. You have to specify your ground surface, which in this case is intermediate, and then your terrace surface, the top surface is the pond. So it'll snip out the portion of the ground surface below your terrace surface, merging it into a new surface 27. I'm going to validate that newly merged surface. I'm going to have to snap on my terrace just to identify which one you're working with in your project. It's got that yellow perimeter color highlighting the perimeter, and I'm happy with that. That has been defined, and it's validated and picked up a little error, which I can show you once again how to sort out those errors. Normally my first port of call would be to go into survey and remove any duplicate points. So editing, remove duplicates, use height in comparison, so exactly the same elevation, keep your triangulation, using the filter to be able to define which surface to work on. In this case, it's a specific surface, our new merge surface that we want to remove duplicates for. Okay, so in this case, the 3 points that were removed, and then I'd also just maybe like to run that remove invalid lines just to be safe. So back to terrain application, model, remove invalid lines. I really like this function. Okay, just run through that removing of any invalid or crossing lines, and then we can maybe just validate again. So model validate our new surface 27, and once again that wonderful line model scan successfully message. Okay, so now I'd like to do a render view of our new water surface on top of the pond and merged ground. So I'm switching off that intermediate surface, and then I want to display the shading on the water surface and then the shading on the new merged intermediate and pond surface. Okay, so I'm just switching on that shade, this SHD column. And then I'm going to go right click render view. Just wait for that to generate. Okay, you can see a little bit of a shimmer coming through from the bottom surface. So I'll quit just to show you how I can fix that up. So that shimmer that we're seeing in the render view is caused by the shading of the triangles in the merged surface. So I think I'm going to try this fence clip function just to show you, similar to polygon clip, but it's going to clip out within a defined fence. So once again, making use of our fences. I'm just going to change to survey, and I'm going to duplicate that surface. So I'll keep our merged surface, that intermediate and pond merged, and I'm going to duplicate that surface onto surface 30 so that we can keep a version of both of those surfaces. Okay, and then just under terrain surfaces, just rename surface 30. So let's call it 30 and merged duplicated. Okay, and then I also need to define a new fence. So I'm just switching off the strings, and then I'm going to use that KB water level polyline. But I need to then snip everything on the inside. So let's go to CAD, and I'm going to draw a parallel copy. So a copy of that polyline. Let's make it 5 meters. I'll just leave the default. So that'll make sure that everything has been snipped on the inside. Okay, so back to terrain, and then I'm just going to define a new model fence at that new 5 meter offset, the new polyline I've just created. I'm just going to call that inner water. Okay. So the reason that I've offset it is I don't want to be deleting the points and lines exactly underneath the fence perimeter, or that initial fence perimeter, the water level area. So I'm going to switch on the lines with the right click in this control center. Just right click and switch the lines on for our new merge duplicated surface. You can see those are the lines that we want to snip out with our fence clip. So I'm going to run that model fence, not the polygon clip. It's the predefined fence area that we're going to be deleting inside. You've got the filter option to specify your surface, so merge surface, merged duplicated. And then we're going to be deleting everything inside that newly defined fence, the inner water fence. Okay, and then just OK. It'll select all the points and yes to delete. You can see that's been pretty neatly trimmed back. Okay, and then just to get back to the render view, I'm going to switch off those lines in the control center. And then maybe in the display settings, we can just switch on the strings. I might want to just put on those lines inside the pond, the visibility of L and LL pond, which are the string lines inside. And then I want to switch on my road shading as well. Okay, probably could tweak it a little bit more. Maybe just switch off that CAD layer as well, the water level CAD layer. Okay, and then I'm just going to activate, I've got contours for that canal that runs through at the top there. I'd like to see that as well in the render view. And then just finally we must shade the new surface and switch off the shading on that previous merge surface. Okay, and then we can have a look at the render. I'm just going to zoom out. Always good to get a better, wider angle before you create the render view. And you can see that shimmer is now gone. You can see the pond clearly. And we can then also maybe have a look at a fly through or fly along the road. So if it's existing road, you just right click and then on top of the road and select to fly along the road. You can use your controls at the bottom to go faster and slower, or you can use the numeric keypad plus and minus or your arrow keys to change your position. I'm just slowing down so we can stop and have a look around. So there's this V to unlock, or you could click on it. I'm just going to use the V. And then you can move your cursor to have a look around. And there's a nice view of our pond. And that's all I've got for today. Cheers.